The exchange between Dallas salon owner Shelley Luther and the Texas judge who tried to jail her for the supposed crime of keeping her hair salon open was a defining moment in this episode of American history. This is what she said when the judge tried to coerce her into apologizing for her selfish ways under threat of imprisonment.
That you now see the error of your ways and understand that the society cannot function where one's own belief in a concept of liberty permits you to flaunt your disdain for the rulings of duly elected officials, that you owe an apology to the elected officials whom you disrespected.
Judge, I would like to say that I have much respect for this court and laws, but I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish. Feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
Bittersweet. I have massive admiration for somebody standing so firmly and unapologetically for her right to provide for her children and for her employees. But I also have massive disappointment for a justice system that would consider such a thing a criminal offense, as though Shelley has any victims. Ooh, but she does have victims. She's putting people at risk and she's spreading the virus. Fine. But show me the victims. Show me the actual people Shelley Luther has harmed. I want their names and I want their medical conditions, not theoretical victims modeled by the experts. It was a moment that summarized the worst of our coronavirus response in just a few brief minutes. It showed the cruel and unforgiving way government will happily crush the individual in pursuit of some greater good that's surely coming someday. We just have to crack a few more personal liberty eggs to make this centrally planned utopia omelet. And it also showed yet another instance of those with cushy lockdown-proof jobs sneering with disdain at those who lack such luxury. It's infuriating to watch. Everyday Americans are being targeted and vilified as enemies of the state and their hysterical media allies for simply trying to earn their livelihoods honestly. Shelley had the courage to stand up against that smearing and became an overnight national symbol of freedom. And I think there's another spontaneous national symbol of freedom in development right behind her. Ice cream trucks. I never expected I'd do multiple ice cream truck related videos in a week, but hear me out. The ice cream truck is about as basic as entrepreneurialism gets. It's just a step above the lemonade stand. With only modest resources, a hard worker can turn a humble beginning into a multi-billion-dollar company. The ice cream truck is how Schwann's got its start, for example. In other words, the ice cream truck is America. It's the freedom to provide for yourself, and it represents the possibility of building something incredible from almost nothing at all. And that may be the reason why the ice cream truck is now becoming a public enemy in many parts of the country. Last video, I thought it was hilarious that the snitches in St. Louis are making numerous reports to the authorities about these illicit ice cream truck operations, but it turns out it isn't isolated. These ice cream truck crackdowns are happening all over. Staten Island parents don't take kindly to the ice cream truck's temptation. It's a virus trap for kids. A progressive activist in Philadelphia is hunting the ice cream truck drivers down, according to a recent Inquirer headline. In Boca Raton, Florida, a vigilante assaulted an ice cream truck driver in supposed self-defense from his disease distribution. And now in Chicago, an investigative reporting unit for the city's CBS station has been tracking the appalling injustices of the ice cream truck's predatory roam through their neighborhoods, or at least that's the convenient way they're framing it. Headline: in violation of state order, ice cream truck operator sells treats while not wearing mask or gloves in Hoffman Estates. The reporter is Brad Edwards. He promoted the story on Twitter, receiving one of the most legendary ratios I've ever seen. This after only a few weeks ago posting a heartwarming message from the station about how we're all in this together.
Hey, it's your buddy Brad Edwards. Man, crazy times.
We're here for you because we're in this together.
Unless we catch you trying to earn an honest living, in which case, you. We're not here for you. We're actually coming to get you. Notice the way this story is framed. They're not just questioning the ice cream truck driver's operation. They're declaring it definitively dangerous.
Keeping kids cooped up is no easy task. Add to that an enticement, unsafely, and in this case, illegally doled out.
On what basis do you say it's unsafe? Because I guarantee the childhood obesity and diabetes the ice cream truck regularly dishes out are far more dangerous to the kids than the viruses, especially considering exactly and only one person under 20 years old statewide has died from corona. And in normal times, we don't use the inherent danger of ice cream consumption as a pretext to malign or smear the ice cream truck guy. We say it's your responsibility as a parent to monitor what your child consumes, no matter how enticing it is. Ooh, but he's spreading the disease to the vulnerable through the kids. Okay, again, show me the evidence. And then show me how that evidence is unique to ice cream trucks and doesn't apply to other food delivery services you have no problem with. You're the investigative reporting team. You should be well equipped for such fact-finding instead of just presenting unsubstantiated statements as somehow obviously true. But it's not about the facts, of course. It's just about a pretext to harass a guy under the guise of supposed journalism.
We all scream for ice cream. But during a pandemic, social distance the rule, getting close to the ice cream man could mean getting something else. Fact of life. Yet here's Mr. Freeze, not his name, in his truck of treats, unmasked, ungloved, taking cash for cones in the Northwest burbs.
You think it's a good idea to be doing this with the stay-at-home order with COVID-19?
Eventually, our Greg got a bit closer. Tried to get an answer from Mr. Freeze.
Why aren't you wearing a mask, sir?
Why are you trying to take
Why are you selling
ice cream
to children without wearing a mask?
Are you sick?
Am I sick? No, and I want to say that
I'm
way.
not sick either. So why are they quarantining healthy people? I have a permit. I get permits.
Right.
You got
the permit before the stay-at-home order went into
I can't
place.
understand what you're saying. Back up and remove the mask.
I'm not removing the mask.
Ah, so he has to obey your every whim, but if he gives you his own order in response, he's way out of line. What an unreasonable person. Now, like me, you may be wondering, why this guy and why here? Chicago has had at least 9 murders since Monday. So why would this guy driving an ice cream truck through a rich suburban neighborhood be the priority of an investigative reporting team in the country's 3rd largest media market? Simple. It's just that the assignment editor at the station happens to live in this neighborhood. This isn't hard-hitting, deep-digging, truth-seeking journalism. It's just a guy annoyed that his well-to-do neighborhood has been tainted with an undesirable, weaponizing his access to those big media market airwaves to harass the guy out of town. Notice how many times the story references that this angry station employee is a father.
Watch what happens when one dad, a CBS 2 journalist,
Greg Kelly, father of 2.
our assignment desk editor, dad, biker, and journalist Greg Kelly.
Yeah, great. You're a dad. You have kids to protect. Good for you. We get it. But how do you know that ice cream truck guy isn't in that exact same situation? If being a dad justifies your actions, why doesn't it justify his? He's not interfering with the protection of your children. He's not breaking down your door to shove a Corona sundae down your precious little Timmy's throat. So why are you interfering with the protection of his family? Ooh, but he's breaking the law, they say, simply by cutting to a clip of the governor describing the new statewide mask policy.
This is not a law.
At this time, face coverings are required in public situations where social distance cannot be maintained.
Well, the guy's in his own car. That seems to me like a situation where social distancing is being maintained. But even if not, even if the cash exchange is too close for your liking, the governor's order exempts those for whom wearing a mask is not medically tolerable. How do you know that isn't the case for this guy? They don't. Of course. They just make a series of flimsy assumptions, and they don't even bother to ask these questions. They just malign the guy as evil and shame him for it, and somehow this is called truth-seeking journalism. And then instead of verifying their claims, they just revert to some backfilled argument to justify this nonsense after the fact. Oh, we looked into it, and it turns out that ice cream trucks have been banned in this neighborhood for years.
This all happened in Hoffman Estates, and tonight we'd learn ice cream trucks there are banned. Have been for years. The village manager tells us if you see that ice cream man, call 911.
Call 911 on the ice cream truck. If ice cream delivery is an emergency in your neighborhood, that's a pretty good indicator you've lost all connection with everyday people. Maybe that's why you malign them as enemies of society instead of working on their behalf to investigate issues that actually impact them. Regardless, a local ban on ice cream trucks is not the reason you went after this guy. The headline is not in violation of long-standing neighborhood nuisance ordinance. The headline is in violation of state order. That is what you said, and so that's what you have to substantiate. The local ordinance is just straw grasping after the fact. It is irrelevant to the original claims. All that has happened here is a governor's whim has declared certain livelihoods dangerous or even illegal on totally arbitrary terms. And the station's reasoning is that because the governor said it, it is automatically right, and it's the station's job to enforce it. But why? That's not adherence to any objective moral framework. That's just blind allegiance to authority. Would they maintain that allegiance if this order actually impacted them? Let's say the governor declares on a whim tomorrow that CBS Chicago's news broadcast is dangerous and now illegal. Would they stick with this blind compliance because, hey, whatever the governor says goes? Or would they suddenly discover an unjust infringement on their rights and their ability to provide for their families and protect their families? If the governor would be unjust in jeopardizing or banning your livelihood based on some whim of a decree, why are you so eager to help him do that to other people? Just after promoting this video piece targeting the ice cream truck guy, Brad Edwards says on Twitter, "Wow, more than 1 million Illinoisans are unemployed, and the governor admits the state is unprepared to provide for them. People are desperate and they're caught up in the bureaucracy. Oh my, what a scandal." He posted this less than 2 hours after targeting and shaming the ice cream truck guy, apparently oblivious and unable to connect the dots that people have to provide for themselves to make it. Just fix the problem, he says, as though he isn't contributing to the problem by targeting people who are just trying to fix the problem for themselves. In the case of Shelley Luther, there has been massive and deserved public backing. She raised $500,000 for her legal defense on GoFundMe. Sean Hannity made a donation as well. Ted Cruz even got his haircut at her salon on Friday. And I want to see some similar support for this ice cream truck guy. But as far as I can tell, nobody's even identified who he is. For all I know, he's just unemployed Illinoisan number 1,000,001 after a successful sting operation upon Brad's 911 call. If anybody knows who this guy is, please tell me how I can contact him. I'd like to personally support his business, and maybe we can do a little crowdfunding to get him a new properly outfitted ice cream rig, patriotic jingle and all. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Twitter, that is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.